Hey there, welcome to your Technique Tuesday, and today I'm going to actually give you a little lesson on mixing all of your colors. So I've created this chart called Elida's Fab 5 color mixing chart, and it really is the basis for mixing all of the colors, all the basic colors that you want to mix for painting. And you really only need these 5 colors plus white. So if you can see here, I've made a little tray. Even if you just have like a styrofoam plate, it will work if you don't have mixing a palette or something like that. And as you can see on my chart here, I have a square, a rectangle palette, or a round palette. And this is because in a lot of our classes, we'll just use these styrofoam plates. They're really easy. You can throw them away when you're done, but they also work well with mixing your colors. So I set up on my palette every time the same combination of colors, which is white. And then on the right side, I do alizarin crimson, phthalo blue, and cadmium yellow. On the left side, I do cadmium red, ultramarine blue, and cadmium yellow. Elida, why do you have 2 yellows? They're the same yellows. You will see when we start using our chart. On my mixing chart here, and you guys can get this free. You can get my mixing chart if you go to my website. It will be under my free resources for you. So please check out elidaart.com and get mixing away. And then I'm just going to show you step by step how I always lead through our mixing of these, using these 5 colors. You can mix so much with just 3 colors, but 5, you can mix almost all of them. So the first thing I do is I write my name. If you get your mixing chart, put your name down. On the bottom, the date. So put over the date, whatever that is. Today is actually May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Woohoo! And we're gonna go ahead and start mixing our colors. Now I start with just an angled brush. I use this is my 3-iron for golf. Like I can use this and almost play the whole round of golf with my 3-iron. The same thing with this 3/4 angled brush. I use it for almost all things. Anytime that you're gonna put colors on your mixing chart, you're gonna just grab from the edge of the color. So I'm just grabbing from the side of the little dollop of paint there. And the reason is that you don't wanna get all of your paints all dirty and gross, and you probably aren't gonna clean your brush every time, because I don't. So you're gonna come through, and anywhere I see alizarin crimson, I'm just gonna put a dot where I see alizarin crimson. If you have it where there's 2 dots or 2 squares, we're gonna fill in those 2 squares. And then we clean our brush, and I want you to be an aggressive cleaner, clean, 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 and we dry our brush on some paper towels, or if you've got an old rag, that's fine too. Next color. Now I'm gonna breeze through this really fast. You guys feel free when you get your mixing charts, if you wanna walk along with me, you can just put me on pause, but I'm gonna zip through talking as I go. So next color is my cadmium red. Same thing, I'm grabbing from the edge, and anywhere I see cadmium red, I'm gonna add that to my little chart here, and I'm gonna clean, let me see if there's another one, cadmium red there, and cadmium red here on number 6. And I clean my brush, clean, clean, clean. Next one is my cadmium yellow. Now notice my cadmium yellow is gonna be either of the yellows, because we have, number 1 has 2 boxes of cadmium yellow. Number 2 has 1 box. Number 3, 1 box. Number 4, 2 boxes. We don't have any on 5, but number 6, there's a box. And number 7, I have a triangle. I will tell you more about that in a second. Next one is phthalo blue. And you notice after each time I'm washing my brush and drying it off, and I'm moving along to my phthalo blue. Number 1, I have 1 square. Number 2, I have 2 squares. Number 7, 1 square of phthalo blue, and I clean my brush. Next one is my ultramarine blue. So I jump to the other side, my U blue, and I have U blue, ultramarine blue on number 3, and number 5, and number 6. And then I clean my brush. Last color is we're going to add white. Now remember, white is your friend if you use it at the end. You use it too soon, you turn into a baboon. Some of these little sayings I say with my kids' classes, but they're great for everybody to remember. Remember, we don't add white to lighten a color. That will lighten the color, but you have to be really careful with it because it can also kill the color. So I'm gonna move this aside here, kind of change this over so you guys can see a little bit better now my palette. And I want us to go through and start mixing these colors. So why do I have 2 squares here? And for what reason? 2 squares and 1 square. This is the amount of paint that you're gonna use. So where you see 2 squares of yellow, that means double yellow and 1 part phthalo blue, and that's gonna make our grass green. If you see 1 box yellow and 2 boxes blue, it's 1 part yellow, 2 parts blue, and 1 part white. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly walk you through this, drying my brush. Number 1, I have double yellow, so a big dollop of my yellow, and then I'm gonna come in and half that amount of my phthalo blue because it was 1 part to 2 parts, and we mix it. And we get this nice, beautiful green, and we put that down on our number 1 grass green. I clean my brush, clean, clean, clean. Number 2 is gonna stay on the phthalo side, our phthalo blue side, but we're gonna do 1 part yellow, 2 parts blue, and notice every time I'm grabbing from the paint, I'm just grabbing from the edge, and 1 part white because I was really lazy and didn't clean my brush there. So you can see that when we add those 3 colors together, we get this really beautiful turquoise blue. Now, if you wanted it a little lighter, you could grab a little bit more white. If you wanted it a little bit more aqua, you can grab a little teeny bit more yellow, and that's gonna make a little bit more of an aqua blue. And we're gonna put it down on our chart for our turquoise. Okay, and we're gonna stick that right down here, and then I clean my brush. The next one is alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. So this is the first time that we're gonna jump the line. So we're gonna do 1 part alizarin crimson and dry my brush. I'm gonna jump over the line to my ultramarine blue, and I'm gonna mix my alizarin crimson and my ultramarine blue together. And it's gonna make a really dark purple. Now that's sometimes hard to see, that purple, so I might add a little bit of white to that. And that's what we talk about, like white at the end. Do you see how that's a little bit more of that kind of lavender color? Or you can go a darker purple there. And that's for your purple. So this is how you do your basic mixing chart. Definitely check it out on my website. It will give you a free PDF to download. And thanks for tuning in. Hey there, I'm just here talking to you guys about Elida's Fab 5 and your mixing and the life lesson that goes along with mixing your colors. And so, as you can see, my palette is full of all kinds of different mixing that we did and walked you through the step-by-step of mixing Elida's Fab 5 colors and how you can mix almost really any color with just those 5 colors. So the life lesson in that is that, number one, if you don't have good base and a good foundation, those colors you really need in order to mix all the other colors, it doesn't really matter how hard you try to mix it. If you don't have a good foundation of colors, you can mix till the sun comes up and it's not going to change the situation. So I think like in life, you don't need a ton of friends. You don't need to have, but you better pick good ones. And I think it's really just important to evaluate like who's in my circle. I mean, I've heard people say that you are the sum of the people you surround yourself with. So when you really look at the people that you're spending time with, are they really bringing to your life interest and pushing you and pursuing you to be your best self, and kind of checking in on who am I spending my time with and how do I feel with that. Something I talk about in my book that's coming up is really kind of looking at your friends and giving them a color and saying like, hey, do I surround myself with really just bright and sunny people? They might be a yellow. And I talk a little bit about maybe blue being a little bit more deep and introspective, that can kind of give you a little bit more thoughts, food for thoughts, and having red being a little bit more passionate, and kind of looking at your friend group or the people that you find yourself spending the most time with and asking yourself, do I tend to be more drawn to certain kinds of people? And maybe you find yourself spending a lot of time with a certain type of people, but don't necessarily want that, and you're kind of craving something a little bit different, or you're missing certain colors in your life. And so I think that's something to look at too. One thing that you can do, I think that's really helpful in any situation in general, I think is asking yourself, no matter who you spend time with, no matter what you're doing in your life. I mean, I get like sometimes we have to work with people that they're not going to be our favorite people, or they're going to be something where you're going, geez, I really wish I didn't have to spend a lot of time with these people, but you might have to. But in situations where you have a choice, like your free time or your social time, just really being clear with asking yourself, when you spend time with certain people, what exactly do you feel when you come back? And, if you don't feel energized or heard or seen, or you don't feel better than when you started that time with that person, even if a person's going through a really hard time, there's a certain kind of energy that's a taking energy, and there's a certain kind of energy that's a giving energy. And people who are victim mindset and they're constantly taking, you're gonna feel that. And a person who has more of a hero mindset, or more of a somebody who's going to be like doing something with their life, even when they're going through hard times, there's still going to be something that you'll feel as a more positive when you leave that situation. So I have taught my kids this. I also think that this is something I constantly go back to and ask myself, when I see so-and-so, whoever that is, and spend time with them, I feel. And if you're not feeling really great spending time with certain people, it might be time to consider changing your group of friends or friend, or spending less time with certain people, or limiting the amount of time that you spend with people. So something to think about. On our Fab 5, you only need a good core group of people to make a beautiful palette in life. And number 2, just remembering that if you're not making some beautiful colors, it might be time to change your palette. And that is your lesson for today. Don't forget, you're a 10, you're a 10, you're a 10.